Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes. Whoops. I accidentally replayed it again. Sorry, guys. What's up?
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
It is going well. It's 109 degrees right now out there. And I actually have to wear a long sleeve shirt because I get cold when the air conditioners are blowing right on me, which is pretty much everywhere in a RV. But I have to still keep it cool enough where the heat doesn't creep in from outside, because it will.
Yeah, Vegas. I don't know if I could handle that heat. Although I don't know. I think I'd take the heat over the cold any day.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're, 5.5%, 6% body fat on them.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the Pacific. You're from the Pacific Northwest, right? It's like cold and rainy there all the time, right?
Well, I'm from the Bay Area, so that the North Bay is like probably some of the best weather anywhere. Really, never really gets too hot, and it never really gets too cold, and it doesn't rain that much. Yeah. The climate in Grants Pass. As a matter of fact, that's the city's slogan. It's the climate. We have a sign that hangs over the main street of our town that says that. But we have a lot less rainfall than the rest of Oregon. As soon as you climb the hill after leaving our valley, the rainfall totals double. So we're pretty proud of it, but it's still a lot wetter than I like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here in the Mid-Atlantic. It rains quite a bit here too. We get, I don't, if I remember right, we're pretty close to Seattle as far as annual rainfall. But the weather here is really weird, man. It's like cold and like 40 and rainy from like November until April, and then it's like 98 and 90% humidity all summer. We have two seasons, summer and winter here. That's it. So how's the prepping?
It's prepping. Yeah. I mean, brain fog the last couple of days has been a little more than usual, but I think that kicked in a lot earlier on the last prep. A little bit of lethargy, legs get heavy in the afternoon. I don't feel like doing much. So I try to get as much done as I can in the morning. And I had to wait a couple of days to get on the roof. They had a windstorm in Las Vegas. If anybody saw that on the news, that like literally blew down power lines, and there was like 20 trees down in the park here. It was a lot of carnage. And when that happened, the wind took my my Starlink off the roof and sent it flying. So I just said, well, I'm not going to put it on the roof again. And I positioned it outside, but it was just kept hitting the line of sight through the trees. So I don't know if you noticed on Sunday, I had a couple of times where I blanked out there. So I had to been waiting to get up on the roof when it's cold or cooler in the morning. And I've got my wits about me, and I'm not worried about falling off the roof to get the Starlink where it needs to be so that I can use it. Yeah, Joshua, that's the struggle is real, bro.
Protein farts. And the gastric emptying is all slowed down. Constipation gets so bad at the end of prep. The stuff they don't tell you about on when you do prep. The constipation, the lethargy, you're tired, but then you can't sleep. That whole fucking thing.
Well, what I learned, so you had turned me on to the Miralax thing and the pretty mild thing. So I was doing like I wasn't doing a dose of it every day. I would do like half a dose or do a dose every other day or something. But when you're parsing as much water as my body is right now, some pretty interesting things happen when you add something that pulls water into your bowels.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think I'm going to be using it now until we get into peak week. So you don't want to be sitting there trying to pose and wonder why something's dribbling down your leg.
Yeah, that sounds like my show. I was worried about shitting my pants last year. Mike and I were talking about before posing a little bit, and it's like kind of everybody gets focused on prep, like the fat loss aspect of it, and they forget how important posing is on stage. It just blows my mind how many guys can't pose, and they end up losing shows because they can't pose, or they get low play. They get mad because they're like, man, I looked great, I was in the best condition of my life, and then I lost to the guy that was in worse shape than me. And I'm like, yeah, because he posed better than you.
Yeah.
And so that is a big part of the. But we were talking about spreading your scapula to make you look wide, and scapula retraction and protraction is something like people really struggle with. I think a lot of guys have tight lats, and it's just part of the illusion of width. But this is I found this picture. This is a really, really, really good example of it right here. You can see it. You can see that's with the scapula pinched together and then pulled apart. You can see how small that guy's back looks. And I see so many dudes get up on stage that look like that. They think by flexing their back that's going to make them look bigger. It's the opposite of what you think it would be. It's not. You really almost need to relax your lats and spread them, pull it apart. And a lot of guys will pull their shoulders too far forward. And it's the Justin. I saw Justin explain this, and it was a good explanation. You think about folding a piece of paper, and you fold it forward like this, because guys will rotate their shoulders forward thinking that's making them look bigger when they do a lat spread. But think about it. If you pull it forward, you rotate your shoulders, what happens? They look smaller. Whereas if you pull back and spread a little bit, you're going to have a bigger look. I'm trying to do it with my hands. You pull forward, and it's the same thing where guys will lean forward on lats, and you can see the illusion, how it makes you look smaller. I'm sorry, lean back. They lean back. Sorry, they lean back when they should be leaning forward, and it makes you look smaller. When you lean forward, you get more of an illusion of a big. Now, you don't want to lean too much. You don't want to be stupid with it.
Yeah. I think that's something Daniel had me doing too, was leaning too far one direction or another, trying to make my waist look smaller than I am. And working with
you can make it look really stupid. There's a fine line between it, but yeah, you want to lean. You do have to consider where the judges are at and the angle of where the judges are at.
Well, I think that with that posing such an individualized thing, we brushed up against this the other day on the live, that when you're doing a lat spread, you really have to kind of figure out where your sweet spot is, because there's going to be a point where you're folding it too much.
Yep.
And, or you find out where your look is the best. That's why I video every session, even if I'm not planning on doing anything with it, just so I can look back and review what worked from the camera's angle, different than what I can see. And it's great to put, like I drove to Colt Fitness. It's my rest day. I drove to Colt Fitness just to get 30 minutes in the posing room today, because they have the mirrors and the lighting in there is so fantastic. I can really see a lot of things from a lot of different angles and dial things up in a bit. So,
I like filming myself. I think that gives you a better perspective of what you're doing. And then not only that, I see a lot of guys when they film, they've got the camera up high. Judges aren't high. They're down in the fucking audience. What I like to do is put the camera about waist high and angle it up just a little bit so you can see the perspective that the judges are seeing you from.
Yeah,
you don't want to put it too low, but I think waist high, angle it up just a little bit, and then you're going to see exactly what the judges see.
I think the biggest struggle that I have is just in general, and this is also why I'm not a great guitar player or any other thing that requires some manual dexterity, is for me to do the same thing the same way every time is really challenging. Like, it takes a lot of repetition. So.
Well, I mean, that's I went to school for music, and there's a thing in music. It's 10,000 hours to perfection. You literally have to rehearse something 10,000 hours to perfect it. I mean, you'll see it with musicians and athletes and whatnot. And when they make something look easy and effortless, it's because there's just been repetition after repetition after repetition. And there's another thing that stuck with me a lot when I studied music in college initially. We talked about we talked about it. You know, you hear practice makes perfect, but that's not always true either. It's perfect practice makes perfect. If you're practicing the wrong thing, if you're practicing the wrong damn thing and you're rehearsing that 10,000 times, you're going to make yourself worse. So you have to practice the right things too. Josh is, I can never tell if Josh is being serious or not, but what's your worst pose position?
Yeah, anything that's my bicep poses are a weak point. I was just putting that in the chat. And I
Mine
think part
too.
of it is just the way my scapula opens up. And that, you know, and so truth be told, man, I've been doing like lat exercises wrong for a lot of years. And I just
You and me
figured it out.
both, man.
I just figured out last year what pulling into the hip actually means, and then feeling that contraction at the bottom of the lat. It's like it's revolutionary for the way that I train, right? Like, oh my God, this is why my lats always develop so slow, or at least the shape that they have, you know? And so not only do my lats not open up as wide as I want in that pose, but because of the scapular stuff we were just talking about, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't look great. And for me, that's like the trophy pose. Like, you've got to have a good bicep pose, front double, rear double. My rear double is better than my front, but front double is definitely the weakest one. Yeah, Josh, I troll, but I care.
Yeah, my
you know that about Josh.
my the bicep poses were my hardest. The rear double bi was one I just really Josh, I troll back here. I really struggled with the rear double bicep pose. That was really one that I had a hard time getting down. I finally got it. Ali, no, you have not missed the peak protocol. It is coming. I saved it until the audience got here. Everybody's going to be taking screenshots of my peak protocol and then screwing it up when they try to do it on their own. Oh man, Tanya, man, you're always here. Tanya is always here. I just followed Tanya on Instagram. I found her. Figure she's always commenting. I should follow her. All right. Let's.
Thanks, Ollie.
Good luck, Mike. Yeah, awesome. Let's see here, Mike. You did a comparison. This was great. This was from last prep at the same point to now, and you're definitely in better shape. Posing's better. Much better shape than last time. Weight's about the same, right?
Yeah. I'm a little more dug out now than I think it's just staying lean over time and doing back-to-back shows, like just those little areas that you don't think you're fat and you're like, oh wait, there's a whole nother like divot right here. And then
yeah, like especially your legs. Your legs are very special. You see a big difference in the legs.
So I have less fat and more tissue, according to the DEXA scan. You can kind of see that there too.
Also, not using DECA that you think, or Master Run that you think is Master Run that's really DECA. That helps too, or whatever it was. Test. Yeah, much better look. We'll see where you land when we get there. We'll dry you out. See how you look after you're dried out. You're gonna be even drier. Anyway, let's get to the shit everybody wants to talk about, and that is the peak week protocol. I changed it a little bit.
About 1,100 grams of carbs the day before too. So
yeah, well, that helps. We did the you did the pancakes, right?
Yeah.
Pancakes and egg whites. So 1,100 grams of carbs when you're depleted. Works.
Yeah. And I haven't been eating any saturated fat like at all. I've got the red meat out. I'm like boiling my chicken, and all the fat gets rinsed down the sink. Like, doesn't end up in the meat. And I followed your tip the other day about the flax. I put the flax on the top of that dried out chicken, and I put some moisture back in it, and makes it more palatable, but with an EFA instead of saturated fat.
Yeah, it helps a little bit. When you're at the end of prep, every little bit makes a difference. Um, all right, so let's talk about this. So here, just folks, so just so you know, with peak week, like everybody wants to know what the peak week secret is. There really is none. I have sort of my formula, which has evolved as I've learned more and had more experience prepping people. I don't know. I mean, I've helped people off and on for a while, but I've like been seriously prepping people for about 5 years now. Um, and I think I've been getting better at it each time I do it. And I've been doing the mentorship with AJ this year and learned from him. I learned a lot from Justin, Skip Hill's another guy who I've learned from a long time ago. But anyway, yeah. So the peak week, kind of the peak week for me, really fat burning stops at 7 days out. We're done. If you're not in shape at 7 days out, you're not in shape. I'll see people that'll drive the fat burning all the way up until the day of the show because they're, it's like trying to cram for the test in college at the last minute. And what happens when you cram for the test at the last minute? You usually fail or you don't do very well. So if you're not ready at 7 days out, you're just not ready. What I like to do going into the peak week, kind of the high level core concept here is there's a couple things. One, we want to wash off any stress that we have, anything that's going to negatively affect your look. So working with AJ, he calls it rest and digest, but really it's just a simple concept. We just kind of want to deload. We kind of want to remove stress. We kind of want to lower sympathetic nervous system drive. Get you sleeping, lower the cardio, put a little more food, put a little bit of fat back in, a little bit of carbs back in, let your body recover. We pull the training back. The training on the peak week is almost essentially a deload. Last training day, hard training day for leg day is going to be 7 days out. So training is essentially for the most, we're just going to do pump workouts and posing from 7 days out on out and in. And then water manipulation. We want to get the water off. That's always the big thing.
1,000 grams of vitamin C with each meal. Is that to help get the water off?
Yeah, vitamin C has a diuretic-like effect. So does B complex. That's one I learned from AJ. It works really well. I've done this with a few guys. You do have to be careful with vitamin C because it can make you shit your pants.
I was going to say that's a lot. It's a lot of vitamin C.
But most of the time at the end of prep, it's the guys are having an opposite problem. They're not pooping at all.
Yeah.
They're usually constipated because your colon's just dried out. You don't have any fat. I mean, your body, the ash content of your poop's really high. Like there's just all kinds of things that happen there at the end. So, and then also immune system. If you ever have your blood work yanked on peak week, you'll see a lot of times the immune markers like eosinophils, your white blood cell count, all your immune markers are just fucked. They're just out of whack. Your immune system's all out of whack. So this is going to help with immune function and probably help you sleep a little bit. So that's an idea there. We dropped the yohimbine and creatine when we got different people have different takes on creatine. Some people like to leave it in after the show because they say it drives fullness. It could be in my head, but I've always thought creatine leaves a film of water on you. Amy, I can't believe you're talking about poop without me. You're always welcome in on the poop conversation, Amy. Zionic, yo, Big Mike, yo, Big Paul, and Mike. Countdown is wild, looking sharp. You might get flagged by the TSA. Let's cook up a win. Yeah, so we're trying to lower stress, lower inflammation, get the water off. The antioxidants are going to help with that a bit. It's just a little thing. We put the quarter block in, which has imodin in to help lower cortisol, which is going to help with sleep and water retention as well. We we drop all the things that might drive inflammation. So I like gut or water retention. We drop the injectables usually 7 days out. Sometimes I yank them at 10, but usually I'll keep them in the 7 days out. So we don't want lumps on your shoulders. We don't want lumps on your ass. You don't want to be that guy on stage. And with the half-life of the stuff that you're running, it's still going to be in your system anyway. And Austin Areola said I used vitamin C with meals for the Junior USA's worked really well. Yeah, it's crazy how much it'll pull the water off. The Hawaiian Samurai, I'll see you guys there.
Yeah, well, what division?
What division Hawaiian Samurai? Let us know. So that's kind of the idea. We're running regular meals up until 7 days out. We start water loading at 10 days out. Chances are most guys are already. I like running about close to 2 gallons of water, 7 liters to 8 liters. The last 10 days, most guys are already drinking that much, but we're going to measure fluid intake. I like us to do 7 liters of water and black coffee only. I had to make this clear to some people. That doesn't mean Gatorade. That doesn't mean, 7 liters of Coke Zero. That doesn't mean 7 liters of vitamin water. Just regular old spring water. I like doing spring water versus filtered water, because spring water is going to have some minerals in it. When you do filtered water or even distilled water, which would be, the old bodybuilders back in the day would drink distilled water, and it pulls all the minerals out of your body. Yes, Josh, 7 liters of black coffee. That's exactly what we're doing. That'll definitely work as a diuretic. So we start water loading, and then we'll pull the water down 1 day out. And the concept here is that your body, aldosterone will regulate to, and diuresis is going to regulate to whatever the water intake is. So it's 7 liters a day. You're going to be peeing, you're going to be peeing that out. And it takes about 48 hours, something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but roughly 48 hours for aldosterone to regulate again. So you're going to continue to pee the day before the show, like you're drinking 7 liters of water, when we cut you down to, let's say, 2. I mean, it's funny, like that 2 liters of water after you've been drinking 7 feels like you're parched and dying of thirst. I usually do like 8 to 10 ounces of water per meal. So we're doing like 50, 60 ounces of fluids the day before the show, which seems like you're not drinking anything. And that's probably more than the average American drinks, to be honest with you. I do like a little bit of coffee in the mornings, and maybe once or twice a day. That it has a diuretic like effect. Hawaiian Samurai I'm completing a Master's Class B, Classic Master's 45. I met Paul last year and took pics with you. Oh yeah, I met a lot of people, man, last year. I'm sure if I saw your face, I would recognize you. I see your back.
I talked to a lot of people online who are doing the show, and then there's several competitors
it's a big show.
At both the gyms I'm training at here, that are doing the show. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to meet a lot of these people in person and see some of my, I guess I'd call them teammates, some of the other guys you're coaching, and connect with the people I've been training with.
I think it's one of the best. I don't know. I love it. It's one of my favorite national. That and North Americans are my 2 favorite national shows. They're both run by Gary Udit, and they get a huge turnout. They're in Pittsburgh, which is where IFBB is headquartered. It's just a great bodybuilding environment there. Though you'll see. I mean, last year there were over 1,000 competitors total, and it goes across 4 days. It's a huge show. I mean, there were like 60 or 70 dudes in the over 50 division last year.
You have some female competitors too?
One.
Friday or Saturday?
Saturday. One. All right, so back to the peak.
The running joke between Josh and I, the reverse grip back squat.
Um, let's see here. Um, okay, so back to the peaking protocol. Last regular workout, 7 days out. After that, what we do is just pump workouts up until the 2 days out from the show, just upper body workouts. We alternate days, push, pull. These are very light. These are basically deload workouts. We just want to get you in the gym, get some blood flowing, do some posing. These are like 70%. I hear guys going balls to the wall all the way up until the show. And how many people I've heard tear fucking muscles, tear a bicep, tear this, tear something the last 2 weeks of a show, training like an idiot going into the show. I can think of many examples of people that have done that. Training hard the last week going into the show is not going to get you anything extra. If anything, it's going to cause inflammation.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like dudes have this. Look, I'm a hard worker. I like to work hard. I like to push myself. I like to go balls to the wall on things. But you also have to be smart. Going into the gym and trying to set PRs and train like an animal, especially when dudes are running halo tests and Winstrol side by side going into the peak week, and you're dried out, you're dehydrated, you're run down. It's just a recipe for tearing shit.
Yeah, and no estrogen either, which also makes things difficult. I get to a point where like my bones are aching when I've been without estrogen for a little while.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. You don't have any fucking estrogen in your body, so
no.
There's that too. So like I'm like, look, the work's already done. The work's finished. We're just trying to get you dry. We're trying to get you hard. We're trying to get you rested. We're trying to get you fresh looking for the stage. That's what peak week is. Those are my goals on peak week.
So right now I'm pushing everything I got to train at 60 or 70% of like the weight that I would normally train with, right? Like trying to keep the volume up. So I mean, at the last week, am I going to do 60 or 70% of that? Or would you say that,
just use your brain. Just, don't be going in and trying to set PRs. Just get a good pump. Don't overthink it. Go in and get a good pump. Keep the reps in like the, 15 rep range, 12 to 15 rep range. Some things. Yeah, Winstrol and letrozole and diazide are not a good mix for joint and muscle tissue integrity. Yeah. So just be smart. Don't get yourself hurt. That's what I tell people. But anyway, back to the diet. We go with the regular diet up until 4 days out. And I call a lot of audibles. Just depends what people look like. So like, this is another thing I tell people, like, this diet is not set in stone. I like tightening down the diet on the last week. We want to keep it the very bland food choices. I know everybody's starved, everybody's hungry. Keep the G-Hughes in the refrigerator. Keep the hot sauce in the refrigerator. Just keep everything very bland. We don't want to do anything that's going to upset your stomach. We don't want to do anything that's going to cause
inflammation in your guts,
inflammation, water retention, gut issues. It's only like a week. You've prepped, you've worked your ass off. Just eat plain old chicken, rice, and salt. That's all you need. Some easy to digest vegetables. At 4 days out, sometimes I'll do it. It just depends on what the person looks like. I roughly have it scheduled as a depletion day before we fill people back up. It's it just depends. Like sometimes I'll put carbs back in. Like if guys are really depleted and looking flat, I'll start carving guys up at 4 days out. We'll throw some carbs back in, but we'll just see. Like if we need to pull some more water off and dry you out, we'll look at it. I like just doing on that day just chicken or cod or 99% ground turkey, asparagus, and just with some added fats. Either almond butter or olive oil or something like that for your added fats on that day. Just a moderate amount of added fats, and the asparagus has a diuretic-like effect as well. And then we start carbing up. I usually spread the carb up over 2 days. We'll see. I'll probably be a little more conservative with this carb up since it's a national show. I've been a little more conservative with the carb. We'll just see what you look like. Once again, this is just those things like I can't predict until we get to that week. And I had guys checking in daily and then sometimes multiple times daily. And we find a good look and a weight that's a good look. And then we target that weight. And if you're
at
below
the Heat Cup, you had me checking in like every other meal, just about, and then you would just call some audibles. I ended up consuming quite a bit more carbs than what we had planned or what we had scheduled. But did we change this the carb up 2 days out, or am I just thinking that because the one you sent me before actually had the days on it leading up to the show? Tuesday,
the
Wednesday,
one I
Thursday.
sent before you had the days on it. The framework hasn't really changed.
Cool.
Yeah. So 2 days out for you would be you're doing bodybuilding, correct? So that would be Tuesday. Yeah, and then we'll start adding in some carbs on Monday. I mean, I may go more than this, I may go less. We'll just see what you look like. But ideally, what I look like, if we see that you look your best, we know that, let's say you're 210 going in on Tuesday, and we know we need to cut like 3 or 4 pounds of water off. We know that our target weight's 207, 208. But we want to maintain that. If you look better at a certain weight, we'll just maintain that weight. But kind of the idea is if you're getting flat, it's real simple. We know we need to bring the weight up a little bit. And the way we do that is with carbohydrates, sodium, or water, fluid. I mean, really, that's it. But if you're looking watery, we've got to be careful with the sodium. If you're looking flat, then there's no vascularity, nothing, then we might need to add a little bit of sodium and fluids and carbohydrates back in. If you're looking watery, then we need to pull the sodium out. We need to pull water down. We need to pull carbohydrates down. So it's really that simple. And then we use the weight as a guide for that. So if the weight's going down and we need to dry out, we know that you're drying out as long as we see you match the look to what the weight is. And a lot of it's just subjective. No McDonald's on the carb up, but really that's it. And then so the carb up, what we'll do for you, and this is more conservative than what I had the last time, but I may change it. We're going to do really
only by about 30 carbs, I think.
Yeah, but I put more carbs in on the day before the show because I thought you kind of flattened out for your show a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So I did 3 rice cakes instead of 2, which is essentially about 35 grams of carbs per meal. So that's, 35 times 6, 190. So there's 190. So 200, we'll just round up 200, 600. So about 1,000 grams of carbs.
You were throwing jam and honey on those rice cakes too at some point.
yeah, because I thought you needed to fill out a little bit more. You were pretty flat. And we may do that again. Well, that's the wild card. I'll throw jam. I usually tell people to bring some jam with them, and if we need to put some jam on the issue on the day before, when we're drying out, we have to go with pretty dry carbs, easy to digest carbs. Like I used to, you can't do rice or cream of rice or anything dense that has a lot of moisture in it on that day because, you think there's a lot of water in rice.
Yeah.
And it's very dense and it's not going to digest well. And I pull the protein down very low the last 2 days to help flatten your gut out. I mean, it's not like you're going to be having any muscle protein synthesis going on anyway at that point. So we pull that down to try to tighten the gut up because protein's going to be really hard to digest when your fluid intake is down low. And then we use really easy to digest carbs. Rice cakes and jam or honey is what I like to use the day before. And then the day of the show, I like using Rice Krispie treats and just a very low amount of protein. I see guys backstage eating their broccoli, their chicken and their rice. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is that going to do, man? You're not drinking any water. And then they're back there farting like a rhino in heat, man. And it just, the backstage always smells like a fart and spray tan. It's just like like all that stuff's just sitting in your gut, making you descend it and rotting in your gut. So I just don't understand why guys are doing that.
Can you keep that what people are doing wrong rant going for about 60 more seconds while I mute this and
Like,
step away from the camera?
yeah, you gotta go pee, go pee. Yeah, so I mean that's the mistake I see that a lot of guys make towards the end. I just never understood that. And then dudes are backstage eating all kinds of crazy shit that they don't need to be eating. It's just completely unnecessary. It's just completely unnecessary. King Kamali versus Arman. I don't know what that is. Farts? Are they having a fart battle? um, yeah, I just look. I, there's no Hail Mary passes you're going to throw backstage the day of the show that's going to do anything. There just really isn't, and people think there's going to be some magic thing that they can do. Let me see here. Let me go back and answer some questions here. And rant. Austin Ariella, off topic, but for your master show, do you think you'll have more tissue or than you did when you turned pro? Dude, I have not fucking trained upper body in like 3 months, and I've been on TRT since basically 10 out of the last 12 months. I am down to 235 pounds. It's the lightest I've been in a long time. And my genetic gift is that I lose weight and get fatter at the same time. that's most guys come off gear and stop training and they get fatter. They gain weight and they get bigger. I lose weight and I get smaller and fatter at the same time. I don't know what I'm going to do. I am giving some serious consideration to doing classic. Because classic has a cap of 242 in the pros. It's 232 for me in the NPC. And I was 250 on stage. There's no fucking way I would have gotten down to 232, not without losing some serious muscle. 242 seems to be reasonable and achievable. I'll just see where I'm at. I should be able to get back into training. According to my doctor, probably in September, October. So I'm going to do it and see where I land. And then I would probably start a prep around February, March. Probably either the Chicago Pro or the Tampa Pro. I'm going to do and see what happens. That's it on that.
Masters Classic Physique is going to be definitely more crowded.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys in Masters Classic Physique. Hang on a second. My daughter's messaging me. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the plan. I don't know. We'll just see. It's hard to predict. Let's see. David Ryder, favorite on the go snacks or high carb days are low in fats. Rice Krispie treats and rice cakes are great. One thing about Rice Krispie treats, they do have some fat in them.
2.5 grams.
Yeah, on my normal high days, I wouldn't do them. I would stick with fat. If I need snacks, I would stick with fat-free candy. Any kind of gummy candy, Swedish Fish, Sour Patch Kids, gummy bears, whatever. Let's see here. What else do we have? Do you think jerky is a good food choice pre-contest? No. See, Mike, what felt easier this prep compared to your last show a few months ago, and what felt harder? I think everything's been harder for you.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really start feeling hard, and like you mentioned, Zionic is once we got to that point where we had the carnitine debacle and and in the middle of that, not being able to lose water and figuring out that I was sold, some Deca as master on. Those are really the two big challenges in this prep. Everything else has been pretty easy. Like, I've been consistently dropping in body fat. I've put on 2 pounds of tissue. if it wasn't for that, I would probably be getting on stage with shredded glutes. I'm not sure I'm going to get there. I still have some pockets that are kind of stubborn. And if I wouldn't have had to take that week off on antibiotics or whatever, I might have been able to push a little harder, maybe do another protein sparing modified fast or something like that, and really dig deep one more week. So we lost that opportunity. It is what it is.
Well, there's always some curveballs on prep. I mean, I've never had a prep go absolutely perfect. Last year was as close to perfect as I thought I had, and then I had 14 and 13 and a half of the 16 weeks were great, and then 2.5 weeks out from my show, I got COVID. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker, man, I should have done Team Universe.
We really didn't have any problems on the E-Cup prep.
No, you that one went pretty smooth for you. Yeah, I've never had one go without something. I've had something always go wrong. Where's the salmon? I know I know why he asked this question. He's asked if salmon is a substitute for cod. No, it's not a substitute for cod, but the reason why I have salmon on the day before, you're probably seeing
fat load.
It's the fat load day, and I did not explain that. On the water depletion day, when we cut water, I like to do a little bit of a fat load. You do have intramuscular triglyceride storage. So I do put some fattier cuts of meat in the day before the show. But we pull the protein down a little bit, and we put a little bit of extra fat in. And just when you put a little fat back in, you just fucking feel better after being on such low fat for a long time. But salmon is very fatty. It's a very fatty fish. Cod has basically no fat in it. I think there's like in an 8-ounce portion of cod is like 1 gram of fat. It's like I
think salmon has more fat than 93.7 ground beef.
Oh, it definitely does. It's more like 80-20 beef. Salmon's very fatty. Yeah. So yeah, I think cod, as far as I know, I think it is outside of maybe egg whites, it is the leanest animal protein.
Leaner than tilapia?
They're about the same. Yeah. They're about any white fish really has no fat. There's cod, man. There's 0% body fat. Yeah. They should do a show. And it's funny, like you hear the old school gym bros talking about, cod thins your skin and whatever. I think really, I've thought about this a lot. I tried to come up with some physiological reason for it. There's really none that I can think of, other than it is the lowest calorie per ounce protein source. I mean, it's lower than chicken breast per ounce. So 6 ounces of cod is going to have, or tilapia, it's going to have the lowest amount of calories, or 8 ounces, whatever you eat. It's going to have the lowest amount of calories. And I think guys just get leaner because they're eating less calories. They're eating less fat. Yeah. I think that's really what it boils down to.
Lots of egg whites and tilapia the last few weeks of this prep.
I can't really do egg whites anymore, man. They fuck my stomach up. So anyway, that's the explanation of why I had salmon in there. It's not a substitute for cod. It's a fattier protein source. Austin, you should do weekly updates for your YouTube when you're back to 100%. Yeah, there's nothing inspiring.
That was the feedback I got from a few people when I put it out there. And so I actually did do my regular check-in last Thursday, my regular YouTube video, and I've gotten pretty good at getting those down to about 15 minutes. And then somebody gave me some feedback that I changed the color on the screen, and it doesn't work well with the sign that I've got on the wall, so they can't read it as good as the ones I did at home. But I'll be doing another one of those this Thursday, and then talking a little bit about peak week too. So thanks for following along.
I'm gonna start doing them again when there's something inspiring for me to put up there. There's nothing fun about watching me do the pink bands and 3.5 pound dumbbells right now, which is my rehab workouts.
Yeah, and this week I had Chick-fil-A 3 times, 6 McDoubles, and a maintenance dose of testosterone. Yeah.
200 milligrams of test in Chick-fil-A and pink bands at the. Yeah, that's going to get everybody fired up. Zion, I'm proud of you, brother. I am simulating a contest prep myself and trying to get beach ready for the first time ever at 10%. Nice job. 10% is leaner than 99% of humanity. Ali said, same here. I got sick my last 2 weeks and planned to cut over the year. Yeah. I mean, your immune system's run down. You've pushed yourself very hard. I mean, you're going to be susceptible to being sick. Josh wants to know if you've had any issues with the Retta.
No, it's when you do 2 preps back to back and your body's in full starvation mode, it kind of starts to override the food noise suppression that Retta gives you. Like your body's going, fuck you, dummy, you need to eat. And Retta's going, no, you don't need this stuff. And, the starvation is kind of like Paul likes to say, ghrelin always wins.
Ghrelin always wins. But Retta fights ghrelin, so we have a tool to battle ghrelin now.
At some point, it's the sword gets bigger on one side or the other.
Yes, it does. The scale will tip. Your body doesn't want to be 5% body fat. That is not good for survival on the ice age tundra of Northern Europe. You would be dead. You'd get eaten by a fucking saber-toothed tiger or something. I guess they weren't in Europe. They were in North America, but still, you get what I'm saying. Some apex predator would have eaten you because you would have been the slow one, the starved one in the herd of cavemen. So Shoko, I always fuck this up. Shoko, there we go. Do people use tuna on pre-contest anymore these days? No. The issue with tuna, especially canned tuna, is a shit ton of fucking sodium in it. A lot of sodium in it. And I have had some guys I've seen come across my desk when I do blood work reviews who eat canned tuna and end up with mercury poisoning. I would very sparingly eat canned tuna, and then fresh, real good, high grade sushi tuna is safer. But who the fuck can afford that?
Yeah, it's expensive.
$10 an ounce or whatever the fuck it is. So no, not really. It's not really an option anymore. I mean, guys, when they go do their cheat meals and eat tuna, I mean, I guess, yeah.
And it is not quite as lean as cod or tilapia either. No. It's not salmon fat, but there's a bit more fat in it.
Yeah, Josh said white tuna is a huge mercury risk. Yeah, I've seen tons of dudes with mercury poisoning. More than a handful over the last couple of years doing blood work reviews. I look at a lot of blood work. I do, I don't know, man. I do a lot of consult calls. I do a slow week 10, busy week 20, 25. And they're almost always blood work reviews. And then my clients send me their blood work, my coaching clients on the regular. I have 100+ coaching clients and I look, people are getting blood work done 3 or 4 times a year. So I'm looking, at well over 1,000 blood panels annually. Not saying I'm a doctor or anything, but you start to see trends when you look at that many blood panels. Yeah, FDA says no more than 6 ounces of albacore a week. I probably wouldn't even risk that, to be honest with you.
Speaking of blood panels, did you see the completed one I sent you with the test and the
where did you send it? Numbers? Did you send it on Telegram?
No, I think I sent it on text.
I must have overlooked that. I got so many guys peeking. I got so many guys peeking right now, Mike.
I sent you a question along with it too.
Did I mark it red and not look? I apologize. Yeah, no, there it is. I completely whiffed on that one. Holy shit. Yeah, your testosterone is way high. I bet you that what you thought was masteron was actually testosterone.
Well, it got up to 7 when on the last prep, but we were doing a lot more testosterone. the last prep. So,
I mean,
but
these
you
look pretty good.
see what my estradiol is? That was a surprising number, which is why I asked if, and that's an ultra sensitive estradiol, fastest I've ever gotten one back from the lab. So the nipple sensitivity that I was worried about.
Where is it? I don't see the estradiol.
Well, because it's not lit up red. We're used to seeing that stuff lit up red. It's 21.
Okay, that's not bad. It's about where I usually going into the peak week, I'd smash it, but 21's perfect.
But that's before I started smashing it.
Yeah. Okay.
These labs when we were trying to figure out what was going on, whether or not I got some fake master on. So at that point, that's what that number was. And at that point, I had like a lot of nipple sensitivity. So it obviously was not an estradiol related issue. What could it be?
DECA, progesterone, prolactin. I mean, those are the only. I mean, there's really
you can test for.
Yeah, prolactin, progesterone, and IGF-1. I mean, IGF-1 can cause gyno flare-ups, but it's less common. It's more common that it's prolactin or estradiol. So if estradiol was in range and you were having a gyno flare-up, DECA also seems to have the synthetic progestin. I just assume, I don't know. This is just my bro logic. It's not. Please, the science bros out there, don't murder me because I don't have any science to back this up. But since it is a synthetic progestin, I wonder if it doesn't directly interact with the ER, because DECA, even when all my numbers are in line, still flares my gyno up.
I think I've heard you and Kurt have this discussion actually.
Yeah, we've talked about
maybe
it.
In the anabolics e-course.
Yeah, we talked about it.
If you missed the sale,
it's still. I think the sale's still going on. It's $100 off. USA is the code. Yeah, I mean, the blood work looks pretty good. I'd put it up, but it's got all your personal information on it. I don't want to.
Yeah, I see somebody at Buddy's asking. If we could have prepared, I don't mind sharing it, but like you said, I'll put all the whether or not have the personal info on there.
Yeah, it's got your identification information. Yeah, all right. So I can just talk through it. Testosterone was 5,057. Your free testosterone was 2,167. That's one of the highest free testosterones I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, it was higher last prep. No.
Your HDL is 25, but your LDL is 60. So, it's whatever. That's fine. Your AST and ALT are low. They're 23 and 43. If you're taking NAC, it's working. Your alkaline phosphatase is low too, which is crazy.
That's QRF code AB10 at checkout.
Man, that shit works. It definitely works. The only other things that are flagged on here are red blood cell count, hemoglobin, hematocrit. RBC is 5.9. Hemoglobin is 18.1. That is high. Hematocrit is 55, but that's just kind of to be expected at this point. Oh, yeah,
really
I see the
not that high. It's just outside of range, really.
I see the estrogen at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's hidden down at the bottom. It's 21, the ultra sensitive. Yeah, that's fine. Hi from Poland.
It's 0 today, I promise you.
We didn't test GGT, Josh, but I mean, I would assume if bilirubin, usually like if GGT is high, AST, LOT, alkaline phosphatase, bilirubin, all those are going to be high usually. I mean, I don't know. You're the nurse, man. You would know more than me, but I generally don't see GGT elevated in isolation. There's going to be some other liver markers that are going to be high.
I wish I would have done a prolactin test though.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
How did you get nipple sensitivity with 21E2? That's what we were talking about. It's got to be something else, either prolactin, progesterone. We think that maybe his masteron was actually DECA. That's what the theory is.
You don't do DECA in 4 weeks out.
No.
Big no. Prep no.
Everybody's always got the cycle questions. Casper, it has nothing to do with what's going on here. 600 milligrams Suston, 300 milligrams of MPP, and 50 antibiotic. Is that a good combo? Sure. Why
How's
not?
that PIP treating you?
You do you,
big
my
bolus
friend.
of Sustanon. You're just begging for some sort of inflammation in your muscle.
Hi, Paul. You ever recommend oral usage during the off season? Anadrol has no effect on my app. I mean, I fucking love Anadrol, man. It was my favorite oral when I was younger.
Great off season.
Yeah, what I like to do with orals in the off season, I don't really run them anymore myself personally, very, very infrequently. I do like everybody, I do it backwards of everybody else. Like people used to talk about front loading a cycle. I feel like when you start a cycle, even just increasing your load just a little bit you're going to get the best gains. Usually when people get stuck, it's at the end. The last, if you're doing a 16 to 20 week blast of whatever you're using for your off season, and then your progress has come to a halt the last, once you hit the 12 to 16 week mark and you want to push a little bit further, I would think that would be the time to sprinkle in an oral. I prefer Anadrol anymore. If I were to use anything, it'd probably be Anavar. I like Anavar personally myself. I find that Anavar, it's not quite as potent as Anadrol with the strength effect that you have, but if you run Anavar high enough, it's pretty damn good at giving you a pump and a strength boost. It's a good pre-workout. I'm talking north of 50 milligrams, and it doesn't wreck your ALT and AST. It will fuck your HDL up. So there is that. That's my my two main concerns with orals in the off season is being able to eat. If they tend to fuck your stomach up, you get acid reflux. You just messes up your digestion. And if it's doing that, then it's not really a positive at that point. And then the effect that it has on your lipids, it further skews lipids when lipids are already a mess in the off season for most guys. But I would say if blood work looks in line and your digestion is okay, and you want to get a little extra kick in the pants the last 4 to 6 weeks, sure, toss it in.
What about injectable Anadrol?
There's really, from talking to Kurt, there's no added benefit. It's still methylated. It still needs to be cleaved by the liver. There's really it doesn't really save your liver or your lipids, anything. The only thing that's going to benefit is your stomach. You're just bypassing the stomach. So, you might get, save your stomach a bit, but yeah. Mike, what is your first meal going to be post show?
TBD, man. But I've been craving some weird stuff like sushi and Hawaiian food. So it's kind of dumb that I've been eating nothing but chicken and fish and rice, and what I'm craving is chicken and fish and rice.
I know. I always get weird cravings at the end too. I don't think you're going to find Hawaiian food in Pittsburgh.
No,
it's white people
West
food.
Coast thing, yeah.
White people food.
Those sandwiches you posted the other day were looking pretty tasty.
Permonti Brothers. Yeah, there's some good Italian places in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has its own flavor. Yeah, I never even heard of Hawaiian food until I went out to the West Coast. I'm like, what? There is such a thing as Hawaiian food?
Well, I'm staying in it's very good. It's one of my favorites, cheat meals, but I'm staying in the Northeast for a couple of weeks, and I'm actually going to go to a party at a friend's house in Long Island. And so there's going to be a couple of stops. I got to keep it together because I'm going to do a photo shoot when I get back, and I don't want to blow everything out, but there'll be a couple of cool meals along the way.
Good Polish food in Pittsburgh. Get some kielbasa. So Paul J, interesting. So sublingual antivirus pointless. No, I didn't say that, but the issue with, from what I understand, with the sublingual administration, this is what I was told by a biochemist, but take it for what it's worth. I'm just repeating what I was told. That sublingual administration of most orals, it's just not going to absorb through your tongue. It still needs to be broken down in the stomach. If you want sublingual to work, it needs to be in some sort of alcohol suspension. You'll in theory you would get a faster peak. It's going to hit quicker, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's. I think that's one of those things. Like, and I ranted about it last week. Is dudes getting focused on meaningless minutia, like fucking sublingual Anavar versus regular dosing of Anavar is going to make shit all the difference if your diet sucks, or if your training sucks, or if you're 18% body fat, it doesn't fucking matter. Just fucking take the Anavar. And what I've noticed, I'm going to rant again. The guys that get focused on the minutia, and I'm not trying to tear you down, Paul. Or was that Paul? Who was it that said that? I don't remember. But it is just like don't get obsessed with the little just details like that unless you're like vying for the Mr. Olympia contest. Then it might matter. But that 1%, most people aren't consistent enough in everything else that they're. Tanya, she's the smart one. Things have to be under a certain molecular weight and possibly mixed in the right carrier solution to be sublingually bioavailable. There we go. Somebody smart answered the question. Anavar is not particularly soluble sublingual. Yes, that's what I heard. Josh says DMSO. It needs to be on. And Winstraw is more suitable for sublingual due to its lipophilic nature and molecular. Tanya, are you a molecular scientist or chemist? You sound very smart. A badass in the gym and somebody who's smart and knows her shit. I'm just a dumb bodybuilder.
I have had some stuff that was supposed to be, sublingual ready that I got before, and it was in like an alcohol suspension, but also had a bunch of sugar in it. I'm not sure exactly what that was about.
I'm telling you, no. I learned a lot from them. I need all the pieces. Well, your memory's better than me. I talk to all the smart people, and I remember about 10% of what they fucking say. I'm sorry, Mike. What did you say? I was completely zoned out. I was focused on Tanya being an amateur molecular scientist.
Yeah, that I had gotten some sublingual orals before that were supposed to work sublingually, and they were in like an alcohol solution, but there was also a bunch of sugar in them. Like you could feel the grit of the sugar.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Anavar has real Anavar has a sweet taste to it.
Yeah, I got Anadrol and Primobolan as well, and they were all kind of set up the same way. Josh is making jokes about the spam, and it's missing the point. Oh, you can't really even see that, can you?
No.
On the Hawaiian food.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanya said, don't get me wrong. I had a note in my Google Drive, and I referenced that. You're a good note taker in class, Tanya. I am not. I'm the stoner at the back of class who pays half attention.
Well, I bought Paul's ebook, so it's the only reason why I know anything. So
I don't even remember half the shit I said in my e-course either.
Yeah. E-course, yeah.
I've forgotten half of it.
Yeah, I was telling Kurt like it would be cool to have like some like study material, like some quizzes or something, in the e-course, so you can sort of test your knowledge as you go through each module. More like like school.
And Tony said, "That's the trick. I'm also a stoner. It makes my brain work at the correct speed. I know my brain is on overdrive. I need weed to slow me down."
Yeah, mine too.
I'm an overthinker sometimes. No, believe me, I'm sorry. I give I give the chronic overthinkers a hard time. I believe me, I like getting into the nitty gritty details of things. I enjoy it, but I'm just, what I'm saying is just focus on the basics first, get the basics buttoned up, and then don't, there's some gurus out there that talk about, I always laugh, the guys that are constantly preaching all this weird nitty gritty stuff never actually improve their physiques.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
How alkaline their water is, or
yeah. They never actually look like I'm like, and they always make the argument like, well, you don't need to look like you don't need to look good to know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, yeah, that is true, but it does lend some credibility to your at least maybe you've helped some people get to a certain level, or you have done it yourself. Mike, what's the rebound plan? I mean, Mike's going to go to Primanti's Brothers, and he's going to binge eat for a week and come back 40 pounds heavier, like half my clients do 7 days later. That's the plan.
Pretty similar to what I did last time. I'll give myself a day off, and like I said, I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm going to take 2 weeks out there, and I'll probably have a few meals, but I'll stay on plan as far as food goes, and it'll just be I come home for 2 weeks, and then I take off to Europe for 3 weeks. So I'm going to be in the Mediterranean, Italy, France. We're going from Portugal to Rome, basically. Mostly riding the train through Europe. So I'm going to eat like a European and just watch the volume. And I'm looking forward to having the kind of diet break that is not like eating every hour. So I'll still be eating clean. I just won't be eating 6 times a day and weighing everything down to the gram. TRT dose for all that time, and then just got to keep the weight down. It's more important the first 2 weeks that I'm in the Northeast that I really watch it, because, like I said, I'm gonna have that photo shoot, and that photo shoot pictures are going to be used in some program releases that I've got coming up. So I want to have some really great photos to help sell these programs that we're putting together. So
usually here's my protocol for guys who want to like progress, and like younger guys that want to progress. And I didn't follow this last year. I just went on vacation, ate my way through Mexico City after contest prep.
That's what I'm not going to do. Yeah.
No, I honestly, I get tired of eating, man. I'll go back to eating like 2 or 3 times a day. Is what I'll do. And then I'll have one meal, whatever I want. But typically what I do, like if guys are competitors, like younger guys that are trying to advance, I'll give them basically 36 hours to eat whatever the fuck they want, get it out of their system, go out after the show. The next day is a free day. And then if it's an amateur show, usually they're Saturdays, back on track on Monday. And then I'll run a few high days just to help quell some of the cravings, man, and fill them back out, get them feeling good again. I usually run like 3 high days, no cheat meals. And then we just go back on a regular off-season diet plan, basically whatever their off-season macros were. I don't do the whole reverse diet thing. I think it's fucking stupid.
No, that worked really well when we did it last year and after the Emerald Cup too.
Yeah, my issue with the reverse diet, man, like I get the concept of it. I truly do, and I'm not trying to slam anybody that reverse diets. I get it. Like you don't want rapid fat gain post show. You don't want it's like, let's be disciplined and go back into prep mode post show. Most people are gonna break at some point. that morning after the show when you go eat Denny's, that can turn into 2 weeks of Denny's and Dunkin' Donuts and just binge eating. I would rather fill guys up with good food and have them satiated on good food than saying, all right, we got to reverse. We're going to add in 50 calories each day for the next 2 weeks to get, reverse you up to your off-season diet over an 8-week period of time. Most people are going to fucking break. They're just going to break, is what I've seen. I've had better success with guys just put them straight back on an off-season diet, and just doing that. And then if you taper off the fat burners and remove the orals and the tren and leave the test and whatever your primary anabolic is, you can gain a lot of muscle. Like a lot of times what I'll see is in a 6 to 8 week period post show, guys will get back up to their off-season weight, but be much leaner.
Yeah. And my intention with this vacation time that I'm taking, for the rest of the summer too, is to stay on retatrutide. So,
yeah,
I don't overeat. And so when I come back in September and get started on the gain season, the progress season, the off season, whatever you want to call it, I'm starting out pretty lean.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I need to wrap this up, folks.
Fun chat, everybody. I think we picked a good time for this, Paul.
Yeah, the nice thing about doing it a little bit later, we get the people on the West Coast. It sucks for the guys in Europe because it's like, 4 a.m. in Germany. But, so we're missing all the European people. But it's better for the dudes on the West Coast. The middle of the day usually is the time that works the best for everybody. But we appreciate everybody that tunes in. And Josh Perry for being the VIP of funniness and trolling. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the support. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Desert. We appreciate it. 9 a.m. in Thailand. Perfect for you, buddy.
Nice.
I wish I was in Thailand instead of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Take care. We'll probably, I guess I won't be talking to you next week, so we'll be at the show.
Yep.
We'll be at the show. So next time we'll talk to you, Mike. We'll have competed. I'll keep you guys updated. Follow me on Instagram. That's where the updates will be.
Yeah, and follow my channel too. I'll be doing the last update on Thursday. And
give Mike a follow. What's your channel? It's Mike Horner Project. Yep.
It's Mike Horner Project on YouTube. It's Mike Horner Muscle Project on Instagram.
Give Mike a follow, folks. All right. Take care, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.